Right. Hello and welcome to today's show with your host, Mark Chatterton. Today, I am pleased to welcome Keith Xander of the group Xander and the Peace Pirates onto the show. Keith is the lead singer and lead guitarist with the band who hail from Liverpool. Through their album 1111 and live concerts, the band have gained a large following of fans from around the world, supporting the likes of Bon Jovi and Manfred Mann's Earth Band on the way. So a warm welcome to you, Keith.
Hello, peace.
Hello. Let's start with the name of the band, Xander and the Peace Pirates. I suppose many people, when they hear the name, think that you are Xander, yet that's your surname, and you also have a brother in the band, Stuart, playing alongside you. So
that's right. We're both Xander.
Yeah. So that's how the name came about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously you're also called the Peace Pirates, and the pirates part of the name, I guess, comes from the fact that you were born without a right hand and you have a hook instead.
Yeah, the pirates and the peace thing is because obviously the message in the music and my kind of whole experience has led to finding some more inner peace. And as anybody who comes on your show, I'm sure, you know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they'll understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen your hook there. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up with that, and how you feel about your body nowadays?
Okay. Well, growing up, it was kind of a situation where you're the different kid, so it had its challenges at times, you know. But I think on the whole, because of my attitude, I was pretty positive about it, and I kind of turned it into kind of a fun thing. You know, that I managed to set people at ease quite quickly about about having one arm, and you know, obviously where I often wore the hook or an electronic hand, which is, I think I've got it here somewhere. I've got an electronic hand as well somewhere, but it just looks like a Terminator hand.
Right. Okay.
I used to wear that a lot in school. It was called a myoelectric, which kind of just works on this kind of in this kind of way. So yeah, I obviously had moments of struggle where kids would be scared of me and run away from me, but because of my attitude, I think it kind of softened the blow quite a bit. If I was more of a victim mentality, then I'm sure it would have been more of a problem. But it never turned into bullying, so that's a good thing.
That was a good thing. Yeah.
Who's going to bully someone with an electric hand or a hook? I suppose it's not. It's less likely, isn't it?
Yeah. And I suppose nowadays you just accept it and get on with your life and
it's just a part of who you are, like having having a certain face, or you know.
Yeah, sure.
You know, people are obviously going to see that you're slightly different, but I don't ever see that as a bad thing. I mean, it can be portrayed as a bad thing, but in my experience, it's been a very positive thing having a missing arm, because it's kind of led to my kind of awakening experiences in a way, and my confidence, you know, in just being happy with being different, not being scared of being myself, really.
Yeah, because I understand that when you decided you were going to start to learn to play the guitar, one of the teachers said, "Oh, you're never going to be able to do it," but you obviously proved it wrong. Yeah,
a few people said it. It's going to be a struggle for you. You'll be broken-hearted, and you'll just be disappointed and struggle. And you know, at times, there was a struggle, but there is for anyone learning an instrument or learning anything new. So the way I saw it, the way I could see it, was that anything's possible, really. But you know, I learned quite early on that we limit ourselves with our thinking. That became quite obvious to me when I discovered that I could play. I started to realise actually people limit themselves and each other through their beliefs. You know, belief is a very powerful thing, isn't it? You know, what we believe in creates our reality, more or less. So yeah, so it was just really, a lot of it was psychologically transcending all of this limiting information that was coming at me to say that I couldn't do it, which obviously isn't the case, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
there's people doing far more amazing
yeah.
things than me playing guitar. You know?
Well, I've got here a copy of your first album, 1111, and
Oh, wonderful.
it's a very spiritually based album. Could you explain a bit about your spiritual side of your life, how that came about, and how your beliefs evolved, and so on?
Well, it's always been there. I don't know. I'm sure you're the same. You had an interest in Christianity and other religions maybe growing up, and from quite a young age, I remember hearing the word nirvana, and being interested. What does nirvana mean, or you know, what does moksha mean? What's spiritual awakening? And becoming from a very young age, becoming very interested in Hinduism and Buddhism and Christianity, and seeing the correlation between them all, and seeing that they're obviously talking about the same kind of realization, you know, this oneness experience. So it started off, an interest in it was from I must have been about 4 or 5. You know, I heard the word God, and so that's an interesting concept, and the idea that God was everything and omnipresent and created us and creates everything that we see and touch, taste, smell, and it's all one thing, which to me sounded very exciting to me. So yeah, I was always attracted to it as a child, and then growing up, I got into spiritual healing, and I've found the way music affected me. It gave me this kind of peace and tingly feelings, you know, like this kind of tingling all over, and I felt like that must be something deeper in me that's reacting to that, and I was getting the same thing when I was listening to speakers, you know, inspiring speakers, and or people speaking about non-duality, or the words of Jesus, or the words of Buddha, or Muhammad, any of these masters. When I listened to them, I would or listen to their words or read their words, I would get this kind of feeling of homeliness, a feeling of wholeness come over me. So yeah, it kind of just was always there.
Yeah, because I understand you had a near-death experience. Could you tell us a little bit about that and how that's affected you?
Well, that was a massive changing point for me in all areas, really. I was 15 when I had the accident, and I impaled myself on a fence post. Got a big scar here. I ended up having a splenectomy, removed my spleen because it was smashed into 10 pieces. I collapsed my lungs, damaged my liver. And there was a point during the operation where I was flatlined, and I came to sort of this expansive space. And then I remember waking up in this space, in this kind of light, and then experiencing that even after the accident, whilst in the body. So experiencing kind of an expansiveness in my energy, and feel it. And I remember just before, as I was kind of, basically I was dying, I was bleeding to death inside. My whole diaphragm was filling up with blood. So when they opened me up, it was pretty graphic. Sorry, sounds pretty awful, but yeah. So leading up to that point, it was almost like there was a complete acceptance and an okayness with death, which also brought about this feeling of peace, even though I was in very deep pain and suffering. There was something in the background that was like, this is okay, this is good, you know, which is the strangest thing. But now looking back on it, it was kind of just like an awakening point, really. I sort of understood what what these teachers or pointers or whatever you want to call them were pointing to. They're pointing to this kind of expansive space in which we all appear, you know, but it's not a separate. Nothing is actually separate within that. So that became a massive turning point for me, because then my mind expanded, obviously, and that's when I really started getting into guitar, really.
Yeah.
And music more, and using it as a tool to sort of spread this message of peace and harmony that's already present in us all, you know.
Did you keep the experience to yourself, or did you talk about it quite openly with other people?
I didn't really talk about it much early on, because I didn't really understand what was happening, and I still don't really. I still don't understand why some people are more attracted to spirituality or non-duality. But it's I didn't really talk about it. I obviously talk about it more now, because I feel that obviously as I've grown up and I've seen what's going on in the world, it's obviously an important thing to talk about: peace and joy and happiness and thankfulness, in your case with the book, which is an amazing book, by the way. Go out and buy it. Yeah. Mark Chatterton, Thankfulness. It's brilliant, absolutely. I mean, it resonates so deeply with me.
Good, yeah.
Thankfulness, because I don't know from your experience, but being thankful makes you more present, doesn't it? And vice versa. So when we're in the present moment, we are naturally in appreciation of it, because we have to be focused on it to be appreciative of it. So that book really resonated with me.
Good.
So really, it was it's become more of an important message now, I think. With everything that's going on, and all the tension people are holding in their bodies and minds, is obviously going to not help with the current situation, and not just this current situation, but all of the stuff people have to deal with, you know.
I was going to ask you about that, so I'll ask you about it now. Obviously, we're in this lockdown situation, and lots of people are having to really rethink what's going on in their lives, because they've lost their jobs, they've got no money coming in. How do you see it all evolving or happening, and is it an awakening call perhaps for humans?
Well, it's an opportunity, I think, for awakening just to take place. It's an opportunity to surrender to what is happening, and open ourselves up to new things, new ideas. A lot of people obviously haven't got the distractions that they might have had before with working all the time. Often when we're stopped in our tracks, it can, if we allow it to, force us to go within and look for something a bit more stable in ourselves. Which a lot of the time we're looking out there for something to stabilize us within, and it may temporarily stabilize us, but it's not lasting. And I think that's what more and more humans are learning, is that they're not going to find stability in an object or the world. They can only find it in themselves, and that takes time to let go of all of the illusions that the world is happening out there and that I'm in here, because that's clearly not what's happening even from anyone's experience. I think anyone could agree that we're only experiencing ourselves. We're not experiencing a world out there, we're experiencing a world within us. And if we're not there to experience it, it's not there. So whatever that seems to be experiencing is a mystery, and will remain a mystery. And I think the problem with spirituality is that we often get in spirituality and try and figure out conceptually what it is, what we are, which is obviously not definable and not knowable in the way that we seek to constantly know it. I think meditation and breathing exercises all help find this inner stillness and this inner peace that we're all seeking through noise, really, which we're never going to find, I don't know if you found that through your experience, but Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's constantly evolving, obviously, and we're learning and experiencing. I think is the important thing about being a human on Earth at this time, and
Yeah.
sort of making connections with people of like-minded ideas and so on,
Yeah.
beliefs. Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Let's get back to the album again. Just show you again. You've got some words by what's he called? Alan Watts.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, who is the author of one of his books is The Way of Zen, and he brought a lot of Eastern ideas to the West and so on. Is he someone who's inspired you then?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
Anyone with a message of peace and freedom, and really anyone who brings about a state of relaxation and releases the tension, I love. Do you know what I mean? I love any speaker that speaks in such a way to bring about that natural sense of who we are is a blessing, you know. That includes any of them, really.
yeah. Because I notice you often post words from this American guy called, I can't know if this is the right way to pronounce it, Adi Ashanti, is that right?
Ashanti, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
an American spiritual teacher.
Mm.
Can you tell what you find special about him, or again, is it just his teaching that?
It just resonates. It might not resonate for everyone, but in my case, when he talks about emptiness and spaciousness, which really they all so-called teachers, which I don't really think they're teachers, they're just pointing out what is absolutely simple and obvious, which is where you're looking from is not a solid object. It's not a solid, graspable object. So anyone who teaches that to go within that space, which is really letting go of everything, isn't it? It's letting go of all of the distractions, which is hard for a lot of people because we've got so much to think about and so much to do, and we feel so responsible. So it can be a real challenge just to sit still and be quiet, you know, and not listen to the narration, the constant narrator, you know, mind, which is just it doesn't stop, does it?
No.
it doesn't stop. It just keeps going. It's like breathing, or you're not going to stop it, but you can become more focused on the present, which is all there is, really. So it sounds difficult because it does seem to be difficult, doesn't it? Otherwise, everyone would be at peace.
Yeah. Are there any particular books that you would say have really influenced you in any way?
There's a few actually. A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. Power of Now. Early on, I was really into Eckhart Tolle, and I still am. I think he's a brilliant pointer.
Yeah.
True Meditation by Ashanti is a very powerful book, which is all about just allowing things to be as they are, really, not fighting with yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the line that he uses. I think his teacher said it: "If you try to win the war with your mind, you'll be at war forever." So you know, a lot of people, I think meditation is about not thinking anymore. But it's not us thinking anyway. Thinking isn't chosen. Thinking is happening, obviously, just like everything else is just happening spontaneously. And that's a mystery. And I think a lot of intellectuals might take on this message and try and figure it out to benefit them. But it's actually that thing that's trying to figure it out and benefit themselves that's covering up the reality that it's an infinite mystery, you know.
Would you say you have a vision for the future of how the Earth is going to be in a few years' time and so on? Because I know you've written it in your lyrics a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the vision really is one of more community and less ego.
Yeah.
because while there's egos, there's always a barrier between each other. And I think once the barriers drop, when people actually see that actually they're not experiencing another person, they're actually experiencing their own limited beliefs about somebody else, which isn't actually happening. There isn't another person out there. We're only experiencing our projections of that person. So we can't force this realization, and we can't tell anyone how to make it come about, you know, because it's already that way. There is no separation anyway. So the idea of there being non-duality is also ridiculous, because there is no duality. There's no duality or none. They're just concepts. So I think when people really allow themselves to fall away, which is often just giving yourself permission to sit still long enough to see that you're not solid or real in the way you think you are, that can bring about more of a sense of love and community in the whole, because people can finally come together. But while there's ego there, it's just not going to happen, as we've seen up to now, you know. But you're seeing more and more conscious communities, aren't we? You know, in Wales, and there's one in Portugal that, you know, these like conscious gatherings and stuff, which is amazing to see. So my dream for the future is really for people to come together in a non-egoic way, you know, to relate to each other as themselves, you know, with love and, you know, love thy neighbor, love thy enemy, all that business, isn't it? You know, it's not, to me, that none of that's religious, because Christ wasn't a Christian, you know, and Buddha wasn't a Buddhist, you know. The whole, like, you know, when you talk like this, people go, oh, you must be a Christian, you must be, it's like, no, I'm not an ist. I'm not, you know, I'm not a follower of any particular
I suppose
idea.
A lot of that has sort of come out more with this lockdown and so on, with people volunteering and helping and realizing that it's not all the celebrities or the footballers who are the important people. It's the people down at the front end, all the doctors, nurses, shop workers, and so on, you know.
The real heroes, the ones that aren't getting paid very much, really. So it starts, it throws everyone into this new perspective, doesn't it? Automatically. Because, you know, I think obviously the more limited we start to become, the more we seek freedom within ourselves. So what we're seeing is, obviously we're having our freedoms apparently taken away more, which is becoming more apparent to everyone. And this is why we have a lot more conspiracy theories and stuff like that. We're starting to say, well, you know, because everyone knows how corrupt and dark humans can become. So it's no surprise. You only have to look at history. So I think as these limitations are pushed down on us, we're being forced to find freedom within, because it's not out there. And it can't be found, and security cannot be found in the world, because the world is completely unstable. So we have to bring our own stability to the experience, which, you know, is really realizing that you're not the experience. You're actually something far vaster and miraculous and unknowable. That isn't even happening, because to say that I'm happening would mean that there was a subject-object reality, but we don't experience a subject-object reality. We experience just one thing, but we're living in this kind of constant illusion that I'm in here, I'm the body, and I'm the mind, and I'm in the world. But that's clearly, to all of us, if we sit still long enough, we'll see that that's not true. That's just an assumption that's been made by everyone else, and including often ourselves, because we fall into that same way of thinking, you know. And we experience it that way, you know. I'm separate. I'm a separate human being from everybody else, and I'm alone, and all this, you know. So it's a very troubling state to be in, really, in an egoic state or a separate state. It's very sad for sad feeling. It feels like you've lost something. So it's important, I think, this message.
What would you say to someone who's starting to think about the spiritual side of life, and thinking, you know, all that's happened is make them question their role in the world and how they fit in and what is life all about. What would you say to them if they wanted to go a little bit further to try and, you know, find out a bit more? What could they do?
Well, one of the greatest things I found is just focusing on your breathing. Literally just seeing how long you can focus on your breathing, and I think a lot of people will find that difficult to begin with, and then they'll discover who their true enemy is, which is, you know, this false kind of idea of who we are, which is built on assumptions, you know. So when anyone's focusing on their breathing, they're not focusing on thinking anymore, or just focusing on your hands, or focusing on some part of the body. It takes the attention away, which again makes you more open to this kind of spaciousness in yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's loads of techniques, I think. I mean, even the Wim Hof breathing stuff, you know, doing the heavy breathing, you know, can bring about a feeling of peace, you know, just by breathing quite erratically. You can bring about cannabinoids and alkalize your blood and do all these miraculous things just breathing, you know, which is obviously another important thing that people could be learning at this stage with something so damaging to the lungs, you know, to get into breathing is obviously not only going to bring you a sense of peace, but a sense of healing as well. Yeah.
And I suppose the fact that virtually everyone has got access to the internet nowadays, there's plenty that they can look up on the internet. Just if they've got a question about something, ask the question and look for the answer, and it'll be there on the internet.
Exactly.
So,
it's all very accessible.
Yeah, that's right. Let's just quickly go back to the group, because I understood that there was a strong possibility that you might have been playing at Glastonbury this year until it was called off. And the founder of Glastonbury, Michael Eavis, saw you playing in this competition that you won, and he said you should have been up there on the pyramid stage. So that must have been quite an honour.
Yeah. No, he's lovely. He was a lovely man. He seemed to be really taken by it, and he had a lovely presence about him. Lovely guy. So it was really a really nice experience, and it looked like we probably would have played, but I think we still will. Obviously, not this year.
One day, yeah.
But he said, you know, he would love us to play. So whether it would be through that competition or just him figuring something out and getting us to play on one of the stages, either way, it looks like we would have played. So that's very positive, isn't it? It was wonderful, and we got lovely feedback off everyone that day, so it was nice.
It's good, because obviously it's a bit difficult for you at the moment because you can't be gigging and reacting and playing to live audiences, and you've also got enough material for a second album, but you haven't got a record deal at the moment. So at the moment, you're trying to find someone who will take you on and release a second album. So if there's anyone here listening, there they are, and there's plenty of material. We'll put some links on at the end of this show that you can hear some of their songs and see what you think. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll call that a day, I think, because of the time and everything. But thank you, Keith, for speaking to us and sharing some of your insights and your experiences of life. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we'll chat soon. And buy Mark's book, everyone. Thankfulness.
Right.